Hey there, Sparkle-ist. All right, here we are. Bottle number 2 for February. And if you've been a member for a little while, you've probably wondered or you haven't seen or curious about a Prosecco. Right, I've only included it once before. This is the second time in almost 2 years that a Prosecco has been included. So there's nothing wrong with Prosecco. It's just the majority of them they're good, but I need something that really stands out, right? And it's hard to separate yourself from the pack sometimes with Proseccos, but there are definitely ones that do it. We don't always get them in the US. This is one of them, right? The Bianca Vigna. And it's pronounced, if you look at the notes, right, I have to get right, so it's always hard to say it. Sui Lieti, or Sui Lieti, something like that. I'm not Italian. It's a very unusual bottle. First of all, it came in this, right, this orange cellophane wrapper. It's important to keep this on the bottle until you're ready to drink it. If you've ever seen a bottle of Cristal sitting in a store, it should be wrapped. Cristal is one of the companies that makes bottles that are wrapped with these as well. Why are they wrapped with them is because if you notice the bottle is not brown or green, it's completely clear glass. And sparkling wine and champagne are highly susceptible to light, right? It will affect the flavor in a negative way. So when a producer chooses to use a clear glass bottle, they have to wrap it and keep it protected. So that's what the UV wrapping is for, the cellophane. So keep it on the bottle. And one other thing is I apologize for the cork. It is one of the most difficult bottles I've ever had to open. And you'll find out when you go to open it because they shrink wrap the cork, and it's really, really hard to get that plastic off. I don't know why, but yes, I've struggled with it for the bottles that I've opened as well. So what makes this one really unique is the process, right? This is not made in the way of a normal Prosecco. It's made in what's called old school, old style Prosecco. The original name for it is Cal Fondo. The newer name for it is Sui Lieviti, or Sui Lieva something. And I'm not going to go into the whole process of how Prosecco and Champagne and everything are made, but if you have some familiarity, right, I'm just going to skip to the end where basically the wine is fermented, and then it gets put into, in champagne, it gets put into a bottle and it re-ferments. They add a little sugar and yeast and it re-ferments inside the bottle, creating the bubbles. In Prosecco, the wine goes into a big tank. They add sugar and yeast to the tank, kickstarting a second fermentation, and the tank is sealed. That creates the bubbles, and then they filter it out into a bottle and you have your Prosecco. It's a lot less labor intensive and a lot faster. So one of the reasons why Prosecco is a bit cheaper. This bottle kind of straddles between methods. And in the tasting notes, it says you can have it two ways, right? And the two ways are if you don't stir the bottle up, like leave it standing, and when you open it, keep it on a table so you're not shaking it around, and then you pour glass, and the glass will come out nice and clear, right? It'll just look like a normal Prosecco, nice and clear. Just great. I love that, kind of a honeydew, cucumber, lemon, really nice, very fresh, crisp, just like you would expect from a Prosecco. Then if you take the bottle and you give it a little swirl, right? Start swirling it around a little bit. And then you look at the bottle, and before it was clear, now you see these little strands, this kind of cloud going in there, right? And it's cloudy, and those are the yeast cells, the dead yeast cells, and they're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them, right? But when you pour that into your glass, right, it changes the flavor and the look. It may not show up well on camera, I'm not sure, but this one is much cloudier, right? Whereas this one is clear and see-through, this one is cloudy. And the smell, immediately different, right? Much more deeper, complex, rich. Now you start to get that a little bit of bread crust aromas and flavors as well. They will smell different and taste different. So it is like two wines in one if you want to do it that way. It's delicious, and I love how they do that. And so the difference is that in this bottle, the wine is fermented, then it's put into a bottle, just like it would be in champagne, and it's corked, and then that's it. It's left, right? They don't take the lees out. They don't do anything else after that. So it's kind of a hybrid method of making it, but it's fully fermented into a regular still base wine, then put into the bottle, a little sugar and yeast, corked, and then that's it. So it's a very unusual way, although it's the old-fashioned way, the way they've always done it. So that's just how it's been. In general, these videos are always going to be kept short. I want to keep them under 3 minutes. This one's a little longer just because it's a very unique wine and there's a little bit more to say about it. And for those of you who are looking for Proseccos, and there's nothing wrong with Prosecco, and if you're looking at a store and you're trying to know, what do I get? You don't know anything about, how do you tell if it's better or worse? Here's a quick tip, right? Look for the letters DOC or DOCG, right? Denominazione Original Controllata is DOC. And then the G is garantita, guaranteed. So DOC, there's a set level of standards that every producer has to match and follow in order to be qualified for being a DOC level wine. So if it's compared, if you do not see that on any of the bottles and you see DOC, in general, it should be a little better quality than the others. If you see DOCG, it's another step up because the garantita actually has to go to a tasting panel that has to taste it and then approve it to have that label. So it's definitely going to be better in quality. Doesn't mean it's not going to be a huge jump in price. It'll be a few dollars more, but it's definitely going to be better in quality than a wine without it. So look for the DOC or the DOCG. All right. But otherwise, yeah, this is a really fun, unusual bottle. And however you want to enjoy it, just enjoy it. Cheers.